first to RSN Singh joining us on the phone line. Mr. Singh, what do you make of this sensational bit of news coming in? A revelation made by Moscow. They've detained a terrorist who was planning to travel to India, commit a high-profile terrorist act. All of this has happened. The bid has been foiled in Moscow and details being shared by Moscow first up.
India is very much a part of that, subcontinental jihad. You have to see the entire ecosystem of the region. Whenever you analyze jihad in the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, and India particularly is the ideological exporter, because Deoband ideology or Barelvi ideology, this ideology upon which some of these global jihadi organizations are based emanates from here. So to that extent, I would say that we are the largest exporter, of weapons in terms of ideology. So I'm not at all surprised that, this, even yesterday, your sister publication has carried out, that some imam has been caught in, has been arrested in Assam. He was a part of Al-Qaeda. And in 2014, Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent was established here. So that is why the entire, the weight of global jihad has now shifted towards the eastern part of India. And the Popular Front of India is taking care of, the southern part and the other parts of the country, so much so that they reached Delhi. So now I won't be surprised if these, Al-Qaeda in the subcontinent or Popular Front of India, they are in cahoots with this, fellow who has been apprehended. And whether he has received training, of course, training, either you receive training in Afghanistan.
We have Maroof Raza and Sushant Sareen joining us on the broadcast as well. I want to first go across to Maroof Raza. Maroof Raza, your first response also to the sensational angle coming to fore that a BJP neta, a representative of the ruling circle, that's how the Russian agency has put it, was on the hit list of this suicide bomber who swore an oath of allegiance to the ISIS.
See, this comes as no surprise to me that there is a suicide bomber who's targeting somebody. There is also no surprise to me that there is a suicide bomber who is connected with the ISI. Just today, I did another interview on one of your sister channels where a Pakistani journalist was saying all terrorists in Pakistan come from India. On the contrary, I told him, I said all the attacks on our citizens come from Pakistan. So the fact is that this is a phenomena we have to live with. And also the fact that the terrorists and suicide bombers are ones that are trained by Pakistan, which has mastered the art over the last 15 years. Because if the suicide bomber dies, they get anonymity by claiming we don't know who he is. If he lives, then they leave him to be treated by our law enforcement agencies. Now, important personalities are always targeted by suicide bombers, such as important buildings are also, and governmental agencies, because these are the ones that make news. By them trying to target an opposition member of no consequence is not going to make news. And suicide bombers are effectively looking for news because terrorism and terrorists survive on news coverage. Beyond that, if the suicide bomber has been caught and there is evidence, I think India now needs to scale up its effort to get the Americans to stop engaging with Pakistan, because it is those countries that we have rested our hopes on that will nail Pakistan for sponsoring terror are the same ones that are giving Pakistan respectability and importance. Pakistan Army Chief was recently in the UK and he was asked to review a parade at Sanders. The Queen does. No other foreign military commander has ever done it in the history of the UK. Imagine the chief sponsor of terrorism is reviewing a parade at a country that says it's against terrorism. America has been using Pakistan for siphoning off weapons to Ukraine via Pakistani air bases. This was in the news 2 days ago in Economic Times. So is India expecting more from the West to nail Pakistan, or is India now willing to resort to activities which will put more pressure on Pakistan, more specifically covert operations like Israel does. And we have done some overt operations, but we have not done covert operations. So if they resort to suicide operations, we should be willing to resort to covert operations and give them hammer and tongs reply for sponsoring terror in India. There is no other way Pakistan will turn around. If we think diplomacy can win your battles for you, you have already seen they can do damn all vis-a-vis China or Pakistan.
Okay. Mr. Maroof Raza, stay on with us. Mr. Sareen.